The thought of leaving school can be incredibly stressful, but it's also important to remember there is more than one route to success.
Urban Royal Academy are excited to announce the first DYW podcast, Fork in the Road. This week Neil and I will be chatting to a number of different people on their career highlights and setbacks and how they overcame their own fork in the road.
Episode of the podcast, we'll be chatting to our very own Mr. Muirhead, who reflects on his own career pathway from stonemason to teaching of pupil support at Urban Royal Academy.
We hope you enjoy episode 1 of Fork in the Road. Hi there, so thanks Mr. Muirhead for joining us, and we'll just get straight into it then.
Yeah, so back when you were younger, so thinking about your first ideas of what your career would be, what were you thinking?
I was thinking of the army. I was quite fit and active, so I just thought I would quite like to be a PT in the army, which would mean I would be outside all day, running about on the obstacle courses and encouraging other people to be working hard and try and be fit and healthy, I suppose.
And was school an enjoyable, sort of pleasurable experience for you, or was it something else?
To be honest, no. I hated school, didn't like school. Never thought for a minute I would be back in school teaching or working that way. I just wanted to leave and get a job and make some money and get a car. That were my main goals, was money and a car and be outside. So no, school wasn't a wholly enjoyable place for me, so yeah, I just wanted it done and over with and move on.
And so what was the actual trajectory for you then? So you were in school, you weren't enjoying it, you were thinking I want to go to the military, but what was your actual route? So you leave school at sort of 5th year, 4th year?
No, I stayed on till 6th year. Again, I didn't really know what I was going to do, so Dad worked in a factory, so if I hadn't got a job when I did, or joined the army, which nobody was really keen on, I was to go in and start an apprenticeship in a paint shop in a factory, and that to me would have been hell, being stuck inside all day and also working for my dad, or with my dad, so that would have been hard, but it was good that there was opportunities back then for you to go in and get apprenticeships in factories, and working in a paint shop would have been an excellent job, but for me being inside wasn't really an option, so I was lucky enough to find an apprenticeship in the job centre, and that led me on to what my career would have been when I ended up training.
So did you leave school with many qualifications then?
No, I left with units of a higher PE, units, or what would have been units of a higher computing, and probably in today's terms I would have been a Nat 3, Nat 4 maths, Nat 3, Nat 4 English. I was quite creative, but as I said, I didn't really enjoy school. So 6th year I ended up getting some qualifications in art and in music, but I was really just picking up a timetable so that I didn't need to leave. So I was trying to be creative rather than, I wasn't academic at all, really struggling with my literacy and numeracy, so that's why the army and going, being busy, hands-on posts would have something that appealed to me.
Yeah. I think it's quite strange, because I think a lot of students maybe think about teachers, they
think they love school.
They have a great time at school and they get all their hires and then they just go straight to uni and then they become teachers, and it's as simple as that. But obviously it's been a bit more kind of complicated. So you've got your apprenticeship, and then how do you go for that for somebody who's not very academic and somebody who doesn't enjoy that environment to go into uni eventually and then eventually becoming a teacher?
It was quite a long path. So basically I found an apprenticeship at Castle as a stonemason. Didn't know what a stonemason was, but I had...
I was going to ask that, what is a stonemason?
So it's restoring old buildings, if you like, and working mainly with sandstone, so it was like carving and building. Right. So it was round about letter cutting and fireplaces. Restoring Castle was my main job for 4 years.
What, a coastal erosion down
yes, there? So there's plenty of work. So there was an apprenticeship programme run by the National Trust. So that involved me working for 4 years at Castle and doing block release to Glasgow City Building and Printing College, college, up in Glasgow, at Brighton. And yeah, so it led from there onto me finishing at 20, going up to Glasgow and getting a post with a building firm at 20, and at 21 becoming self-employed. Because that was just the way, that's just what you done, you just became self-employed and you worked that way.
As a stonemason?
As a stonemason, yeah.
Right.
Working with the companies, I've done a lot of work with the apprentices, and I also done a lot of work with the young labourers. And what I found was a lot of the young labourers were people like me that were very hands-on, again, kind of maybe literacy and numeracy issues, but they maybe just didn't have the same kind of breaks or the same people kind of guiding me than what I had. So we ended up kind of upskilling labourers, if you like, so that rather than just pushing wheelbarrows about and mixing mortar, we ended up showing them how to do pointing, how to work with lime, and by that way, by upskilling them, they were ending up getting extra money in their wages.
Yeah.
The more skills that they got, as I said, the kind of higher they were ranked, if you like. So it was very much, that was part of my kind of role, stay quiet, fly under the radar, and not get into any bother. So again, if you're the wee person that sits at the back and doesn't make any drama, and you're in a class where there might be drama happening, you can normally kind of just float by without MD asking any questions. I was always the could do better, if he applied himself, could do better at this. So I was that guy. Talks too much. That was me. So yeah, very much the middle kid. Just keep myself to myself, fly under the radar, and as long as nobody sees me, then nobody will ask any questions. So.
And was your school, like, were they pushing university, college far more than apprenticeship back then?
Yeah, it was very much go to college. I was just thinking back to a careers interview there, but it was very much college. College is the way to go. Very little apprenticeships were being pushed.
Okay.
I was just lucky. I had family members. Most of my family members were all in industries. Back then, Irvine there was loads of factories and there was a lot of opportunities for people. So, as I said, I was lucky that I had people around about me that were encouraging me to go into employment and not just sit. I had worked in Tesco's as soon as I was 16. I had managed to get a job in Tesco, so I was there.
So did I.
So kind of, again, worst case scenario would have been I would have picked up more hours in Tesco and just doing the shelves. So yeah, there was lots of opportunities there. It's a bit different now, but very much the middle kid, if you like. Never at the bottom, but never ever at the top.
And see, just when you were talking about when you were at school and again not being very engaged, what's your family background? Have you got any kind of like family who went to uni? You were saying a lot of them were in industry and stuff like that, but did any of them go to uni or have any interest?
It was very much it was very much factory based and shop based and just a working factory, working life, if you like, family. No, we didn't have anybody that went to uni, or I think I may have been the first one to go to university eventually. Right. But again, it was hard working ethic, if you like. It was always instilled into me that if you want something, you need to go and work for it, you need to go and get it. It doesn't get handed to you. So for an early age I was out and you just wanted money.
But did uni feel like an unobtainable kind of goal? Did it feel like that's a million miles away when you're at school and you're doing your apprenticeship? Did it feel like
that's not for me?
100%. The thought of going into further education, wasn't even close, wasn't even on the radar. Actually, I got a placement when I did go in and do my teaching. I got a placement at Greenwood, and there was a few of the teachers there that taught me. There was actually my tech teacher was in the tech department when I went, and when I come through the staff room, it was kind of, what are you doing here with my shirt and tie on?
So you're from Irvine or Dreghorn, kind of surrounding area, right? So kind of similar to a lot of the kids that go to our school then.
You also just admitted that you went to Greenwood there as well, which is controversial.
I know.
So I can edit this bit out.
So I think they were kind of shocked to see me, but again, your perception of how you are in school is different now from what they've seen, but they didn't put me out, so I couldn't have been that bad.
So how long after then, when you were supporting the apprentices, what did you do after that? Was it straight to uni from there, or...?
No, I was 30, so I would have been 9 years between different things. So I was 30 before I got my first English qualification, so I went and done an open university course. I've got a friend that's a tech teacher, and they started doing some work at Dumfries House. So I had been told about stonemasonry and trying to do stonemasonry teaching at Dumfries House. So basically there was people, my kind of name came up, and there was people who pointed me in the direction of some people, if you like. So I knew I had to go and get better qualifications, and I had to be able to do things if I was going to teach. Your trade was enough to get me in, but if I was going to go for that post, I knew I would be up against people that had a teaching degree and knew about a curriculum and how to build a curriculum. At that point, I only had my kind of trade, if you like, and the knowledge that I had. So if I wanted to go to something else and not just be on a building site for the rest of my life, I knew I had to try and do something. So that's when you've got an interest in it and you've got a family, it makes the learning a lot easier, if you like, because you know that there's a drive there, there's a goal.
You're much more motivated, aren't you, I suppose,
yes.
if there's brilliant. So you've been sort of considered for teaching like stonemasonry, but then so you go to college, get your open uni, get your English qualification, and then how long are you at the open uni for before you go to?
No, it was a couple of months. So what I had done was sent an email to Glasgow University and just asked, what do you need? So again, it's I don't know, I'm a big believer in if you don't ask, you don't get.
That's
so
true, yeah.
I basically just started pinging a couple of emails. So I emailed a guy called Eddie Mack. He was a course director for Tech, and I had basically just told him my kind of situation, and he asked me to come up for a coffee. And I had said to one of my friends as a teacher, he'd kind of encouraged me to go into it, and I had joked with him and saying, I have to go and meet a guy for a coffee, and he says, no, that's your interview, Ross. I said, no, I've just to meet him for a coffee.
So informal, eh? Like meeting for a coffee.
Yeah, so we basically sat in the university cafe and sat and had a coffee, and he offered me a place on the course. But at that point I didn't have my English qualification.
Right.
So they said that it would depend on the amount of people that had applied for the course. It happened that year there was obviously they were over applied. There was too many applicants, so he told me go away and get your qualification. As soon as you've got your English qualification, because you're not done a teaching course without it, as soon as you've got it, give me a shout and I'll get you on. So I had met him probably about Christmas time, and get my so that I could get my English qualification. I managed to get my qualification by Easter, and that guaranteed me a place on the BTEC course for a September start.
So how did you find going back to uni later in life then? Is it something you wish you'd done earlier on, or were you quite happy to do it at that stage in your life?
It was fine for that stage of my life because I had been out and I had been working, and I suppose I had my family to look after, and at that point I wanted a different career, a more stable career. Being self-employed, being a self-employed builder, there's not a lot of consistency, especially in stonemasonry, as it's quite a kind of niche market. So it was either kind of feast or famine, so that a lot of the time through the winter there wasn't a huge amount of work, and then all your work was through the summer when the kids were off, so you don't get as much family time as you would like. So I was looking for a career where I could spend more time with my family and still earn a similar wage to what I did as a stonemason.
So was it 4 years you went back to uni for?
Yeah, I had to do the full 4-year course. So if you like, I was a year doing my English work, and then I was 4 years doing my my uni work. But again, because I had my trade, I could still, because of the uni timetable, if you like, it still allowed me to do some weekend work. It allowed me to keep my contacts, and I still done work backwards and forwards. So for the 4 years I was basically at uni and a stonemason, just so that I could still pay the bills and do what I need to do.
And see, as an English teacher, I was just wondering, did your attitude towards the subject English change for when you were? It's obviously changed because you knew you had to do it, but like, did you actually find you quite enjoyed it the second time round? Did you find elements you enjoyed? Or?
I still find it's very hard. Still find it very hard.
I agree.
I don't really. There's so many elements of English that I just still don't understand. My brain just isn't. I can't do it.
It was close reading for me. Close reading. I couldn't get that.
I was really lucky. I got an English tutor. So again, through college and university, there's no way I could have done it without help. I think the big thing was I got to the stage where I asked for help, and I don't know if that's maybe what's brought me to working in support and trying to encourage people to ask for help. Because if I didn't ask for help, there's no way I'd even got my literacy from college. So a friend's aunt is an English teacher. So again, she lived in a stone house, which helped because I'd done some work for her, and she helped me with my English. So again, it worked out. It worked out great.
So it was straight into teaching, probation year, following that?
Yeah, straight through pathway? Probation year at Auchenharvey, and
whoop whoop.
Thrown in, yeah. And then I ended up going probation year, and then a support post opened up. It was really, there was a lot of applicants going for tech posts at the time, and every time I went for an interview I was told I was too pupil focused and not enough focus on the curriculum.
I don't think you'd be told that these days.
Oh, I couldn't get my head round about it. Again, thinking it was all about the kids, but I was maybe going to the wrong schools. So it ended up, there was a support post came up, and I was asked if I wanted to do a 0.8 support in my first year of teaching, if you like, at Auchenharvey, and I just went for there, snowballed for there, if you like. So
amazing, that's brilliant. Right, so we've got your full journey, and just before we go, I was just wondering, have you got any like words of advice or words of wisdom for any kind of young students maybe on a similar...
I don't know of words of wisdom, but
what would you like to know when you're in school? Like, what
I would just have said, and it's the same as what I say to all the guys in here, just put the effort in when you're there, get the best qualifications you can get at the time, ask for help, ask for support. There's loads of people in the school that are willing to help, and then you don't have to go to college at 30 and sit with people that are 16 and 17 trying to get an English qualification that if you had just applied yourself at school you could have got and then just carried on. The good thing with qualifications is they sit there, so I could have got straight into uni a year earlier. I might have went to uni earlier, I don't know. It opens so many doors later on in life. You don't have to use your qualifications there and then, but when they're there, they're there. So that's what I've been advising my kids, that's what I've been advising people that come through the door at our support department. Just do what you can and ask folk for help.
Yeah,
that's good advice.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Our first guest, no pressure.
I know. No, that was a great first episode as well.
It was really good to hear about someone who didn't maybe necessarily have, I don't know, the most academic experience in school to then be a teacher yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing, the roads, and you never know what's round the corner, and sometimes you just fall into things depending on who you're talking to or where you're working or what you're doing, so you never know where you'll end up. But again, I probably wish I had more qualifications earlier in my life, because it would have opened up more doors, rather than waiting for later on. But
then you wouldn't be sitting on the podcast.
I wouldn't be on a podcast.
This is the crowning moment of your entire career. I know. Right, Mr. Muirhead,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
The thought of leaving school can be incredibly stressful, but it's also important to remember there is more than one route to success.
Urban Royal Academy are excited to announce the first DYW podcast, Fork in the Road. Miss McNeil and I will be chatting to a number of different people on their career highlights and setbacks and how they overcame their own fork in the road.
Episode of the podcast, we will be chatting to our very own Mr. Muirhead, who reflects on his own career pathway from stonemason to teaching of pupil support at Everton Royal Academy.